Houston Rockets. Now, the Thunder are led by MVP candidate Russell Westbrook, averaged a triple-double for the season. We've been talking about him on the podcast for, several weeks. And the Houston Rockets are led by James Harden, the Beard, leading the league in assists and also second in scoring. So, yeah, man, this matchup going into game one, I thought it was going to be a really good matchup. Unfortunately for OKC, who had been the number one rebounding team in the National Basketball Association for the entire season, they were out rebounded by the Houston Rockets. Couple that with Houston's ability to knock down 3-pointers, and that turned into a blowout victory for the Rockets. And Russell Westbrook didn't have a good game in game one. James Harden did have a good game, over 30 points. But I don't think that would deter Russell from coming out in game two and having a great game. Russell Westbrook, he is, probably going to be the MVP for this year in the NBA. I mean, he had a great season, averaged a triple-double for the year. First player to do that. It's been chronicled. First player to do that in, 40-some-odd years since Oscar Robertson, the Big O. So, Russell, he's a player. It just remains to be seen, are those other ancillary parts, those other pieces, the Steven Adams of the world, the Enes Kantors, are they going to be able to help Russell Westbrook? Because, on paper, the Thunder are not as good as the Rockets. I mean, Houston has a better roster, in my humble, but OKC has Russell Westbrook, and he is ornery at all times. That dude has an attitude problem. I like it, man, but he has an attitude problem. Russell plays with a huge chip on his shoulder. He plays with a chip the size of Boulder, Colorado on his shoulders, man. So, that series, it could go 7, or again, Oklahoma City could get swept. We really don't know. Every game in the playoffs is on a game-by-game basis. Teams make adjustments. You play the same team over and over. So, you can make adjustments in the series, and the series can turn around. Case in point, last season's final, the Golden State Warriors had a 3-1 lead on the Cleveland Cavaliers, and Cleveland came back and won that series and won the ship. Yeah, I brought it up because all you Warriors fans, you're so hype about KD and Steph and Clay and all those guys this year. You're so hype. But wait until the finals. You'll see. All right, man, but I digress. The last matchup on the Western Conference side of things is the San Antonio Spurs and the Memphis Grizzlies, the 2-7 matchup. Now, the Spurs, quiet as kept, had another great season under head coach Greg Popovich, and they have probably the defensive player of the year in Kawhi Leonard on their team. And Kawhi offensively has stepped his game up tremendously. One of the best players in the NBA right now. They're up 2-0. Just finished watching that game. They're up 2-0 over the Memphis Grizzlies, but game one was a complete blowout. It was close for the first half, and in the second half, San Antonio turned it on and blew out the Grizzlies. But game two was crazy. San Antonio had a 26-point lead, and the Grizzlies came all the way back, cut it to 4 with a chance to cut it to 2 on several possessions in the fourth quarter. They lollygagged, they shucked and jived, and San Antonio went on a 16-7 run, led by Kawhi Leonard, blew that game back open, and they won game 2. They being the San Antonio Spurs. They have a 2-0 lead over the Memphis Grizzlies. I don't know what Memphis is going to do, man, because they're old. And they're, I don't think that they're a bad team, but they're not great. So they're going to have everything go their way to beat the San Antonio Spurs, and I don't see that happening. I do like Pau Gasol's brother, Marc Gasol. Let me stop saying Pau Gasol's brother, because Marc Gasol is an all-star in his own right. I do like Marc Gasol. I love Zach Randolph, Zebo, but Zebo's coming off the bench now. I like Mike Conley, their point guard, but after that, who do they have? Vince Carter is 157 years old, and he's still playing in the NBA. So I don't think the Memphis Grizzlies have, that much of a chance to beat the San Antonio Spurs, but that's why they play the game. Again, I just don't see it happening. But, we shall see in the days and weeks to come. Maybe by next week's podcast, that series is over. It's already 2-0. We shall see. Game 3 is on Thursday, if I'm not mistaken, Wednesday or Thursday. So it may be 3-0. They're going back to Memphis. So Memphis may get a game at home. Not completely sure, but the Western Conference playoffs has started. And the Eastern Conference playoffs has started as well. But before I talk about the Eastern Conference playoffs, I'm going to take this commercial break, drink more of this Harris Teeter natural spring water, bottled from a protected spring in Roaring Gap, North Carolina, and or Blue Ridge, Georgia. We'll take this commercial break. You're listening to the All Things Sport podcast on Spreaker Radio. Damian Banks here for Austin Davenport Construction. If you're a new homeowner, old homeowner, or whatever the case may be, if you need work done on your home, look no further than Austin Davenport Construction. Austin Davenport Construction offers services such as building and repairing foundations, brickwork, home repair, waterproofing. Whatever you need, chances are Austin Davenport Construction can hook you up. If you need backsplash in the kitchen, they got you. If you want to get the roof work done, they got you. If you want new tile in the kitchen, they got you. New tile in the bathroom, I'm pretty sure they can hook you up. So if you want to get your new home worked on, you want to get your old home worked on, whatever you need, Austin Davenport Construction has your back. To contact Austin Davenport Construction, call 919-697-6912 or 919-450-7517. Also, email austindavenport@gmail.com or go to the website austindavenport.com. Austin Davenport Construction. Get your home done right.
We're back with more of the All Things Sport podcast with Damian Banks and Pierre Banks on Spreaker Radio. Gentlemen, the floor is yours.
Welcome back to the show. You're listening to the All Things Sport podcast, and I am Damian Banks. Before I go any further, I'd just like to say thank you to everyone who supports the All Things Sport podcast. I am humbled, and I really appreciate the love and support that I get. On a weekly basis, we do this podcast, and I put it on various social media sites, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Google Plus, LinkedIn, whatever you can think of social media wise. I put the link for the podcast on there, and the support that I get, the feedback that I get is positive. It's not all positive. Some of it is negative, but I take the good with the bad. I really appreciate you guys just, sticking with me, rocking with me as we progress in the show, as we try to make the show better. I'm a one-man army right now on the podcast. I record, I edit, I do it all right now. So, I'm a one-man army, but, all it takes sometimes is one man. It takes one man to light that match, to spark a movement. And I think this All Things Sport podcast is a movement for me. It's a movement for minority sports media because, our voices aren't always heard. So again, I thank you. I continue to do it for you. I do it for the culture. I do it for the people. I thank you, man. Go to banksboy.com, download this podcast, download our YouTube channel, download anything that you want to download sports media wise. You can also follow me on Instagram and Twitter at Sports by Damian. That's SportsBydamion. And I thank you kindly. This portion of the All Things Sport podcast is brought to you by one of my sponsors, Triangle Entertainment Worldwide, and its CEO, Gerald Robinson. If you're an artist of any kind, a singer, a poet, a painter, if you're a dancer, anything you do artistically, Triangle Entertainment Worldwide can help you take that next step in your career. They provide services such as video and photo shoot production, talent management consultation, label shopping, performance bookings, CD duplication and artwork, Reverb Nation services, logo designs, press kit creations, bio write-ups, legal services, radio placements, production placements, mixtape hostings, and a whole assortment of other services. To contact Triangle Entertainment Worldwide, you can go to their website, teworldwide.com. You can contact their CEO, Gerald Robinson. I feel like I don't want to give out Gerald's personal number, although I know if you're an artist and then you call Gerald, to help you with your career, he'd probably answer the phone, but I don't want to give Gerald's personal information, but I will provide the company line, 704-774-6212, or you can go to the website, teworldwide.com, or call the number again, 704-774-6212. Triangle Entertainment Worldwide provides services for aspiring artists to reach their full potential. Triangle Entertainment Worldwide. Give them a call. Tell them Sports by Damien sent you. All right, we're back on the show. We're back at it. I hope you guys are enjoying the show this week. Every week, man, I try to do it better than I did it last week. And I think, this edition is pretty cool. It's pretty damn tough if you ask me. Now, I'm going to say that is good, even if it's not good, because, I love me. And if you don't love yourself, who's going to love you? But I digress. We've been rocking and rolling on the show. I gave you hot topics. We started to talk about the NBA playoffs, talked about the Western Conference matchups, the 1 and the 8 seed, the Warriors and the Portland Trail Blazers. That series right now is 1-0 for the Warriors. You got the 2 and the 7 seed, the San Antonio Spurs taking on the Memphis Grizzlies. Right now, that series is 2-0 right after San Antonio just beat Memphis tonight, right before I did the podcast. Also, you have the 3-6 matchup, the Oklahoma City Thunder taking on the Houston Rockets. The Rockets are the 3 seed. James Harden, Russell Westbrook, big time matchup. It was a blowout in game 1. Right now, Houston has that 1-0 lead. And also, you have the 4-5 matchup, the Utah Jazz and the LA Clippers. The Clippers are the 4 seed. They're losing that series right now 1-0 to the Jazz. So the playoffs are popping 10. That was the Western Conference side of things. Now let's talk about the Eastern Conference. I love the East, man. The beast of the East is what I like to call them. The Cleveland Cavaliers and LeBron James. But before I do that, you know what I'm about to do? I'm about to take a sip of my natural spring water, bottled in a protected spring in Roaring Gap, North Carolina, because I'm a little verklempt right now. My throat is a little dry. Man, I tell you, spring water is crisp, as always. I don't do the purified drinking water, man. I don't do it. Natural spring water is the way to go. But I digress. Now, we're talking about the NBA playoffs. We talked about the Western Conference playoffs. Now I'm going to speak on the Eastern Conference playoffs. You would think that the Cleveland Cavaliers, the defending NBA champions, would be the number 1 seed in the East, but they slacked. They were very sluggish the second half of the season, and the Boston Celtics won the Eastern Conference, man. They're the number 1 seed in the East. So what did Boston do as the number 1 seed, taking on the number 8 seed Chicago Bulls? What did they do in game 1? They lost. How could you lose to the Chicago Bulls? They're the 8th seed. But, I think it was a reason why they lost. The day before that game, game 1 between the Celtics and the Bulls, Celtics point guard Isaiah Thomas got some, pretty shocking and pretty sad news. His little sister, China Thomas, 22 years old, if I'm not mistaken, she was killed in a single car accident in their hometown of Tacoma, Washington. So Isaiah Thomas was playing with a heavy heart, but he still went out and did his thing, had 33 points, man. But the Celtics, they only have Isaiah Thomas. They got Isaiah Thomas and a bunch of dudes. I mean, Avery Bradley is good defensively. I like, some of the, I like Brad Stevens, their head coach. I do like Al Horford. He's not a superstar, but he's been an all-star in the NBA before. But the Celtics, I don't think they have the firepower to win an NBA championship. I don't think they have the firepower to make it out of the Eastern Conference. But I digress. Talking about this first round series between the Chicago Bulls. The Bulls got a big night from Jimmy Butler. Also got a big night from second-year pro Bobby Portis. And they pulled off the game 1 upset of the Boston Celtics. Now, game 1 of any playoff series is the game that you want to steal if you are the higher seed. And the Chicago Bulls stole game 1, so the Celtics have to come back in game 2, try to tie that series up at TD Garden before they go back to Chicago. Moving on to the number 2 seeds, Cleveland Cavaliers, the aforementioned Cleveland Cavaliers, LeBron James, Kyrie Irving, Kevin Love, Tristan Thompson, J.R. Smith, Kyle Korver, the James gang. They're the number 2 seed taking on the 7 seed Indiana Pacers, Paul George, and a bunch of dudes. And again, game 1, Indiana had their opportunity to